Chapter 32. This farm is quite good. Hiroshi was blissfully unaware of the venomous curses muttered by the old woman. Even if he had heard them, he would have simply shrugged them off with a smile. After experiencing betrayal and real-life battles, his mindset had changed significantly. He no longer allowed such trivial matters to upset him. Before long, Jimmy had delivered the excavator to the farm's entrance. Hiroshi handed over today's rental fee, which consisted of some flour and frozen meat. Jimmy, who hadn't had meat in a long time, eagerly accepted it and left, visibly happy. Being able to eat meat nowadays is a rare luxury, Hiroshi murmured as he watched Jimmy drive away. Although he wasn't lacking in food, many residents of South City hadn't had meat for quite a while. Due to the toxic plants, many cattle and sheep had died from poisoning, and their carcasses had to be destroyed. While meat wasn't as scarce as fruits and vegetables, it was still considered a luxury. Only the wealthy and those in high positions could afford it in South City. Hiroshi maneuvered the excavator into the farm and began working. Soon, a large pit appeared in the northern part of the farm. Stardust Company. Sally sat in Jack's former office, examining a stack of documents detailing Jack's activities during the 10 days before his death. The records were meticulous, noting every encounter with unfamiliar people. Although Jack had been in charge, Sally wasn't naive. She had cultivated her own network of influence and had been keeping tabs on Jack. The records had been provided by one of Jack's secretaries. However, there were 2 days of missing records, specifically the day before and the day of Jack's death. Sally furrowed her brow in frustration. The key must lie in those 2 missing days. But with the company's surveillance footage erased and Jack's confidence gone, the trail has gone cold. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Her secretary's voice came from outside. Vice President Sally, the researcher from headquarters, Dr. Christopher, is about to arrive. Should we go greet him? Sally raised an eyebrow. The headquarters had decided to establish a research institute in South City to develop a cure for the toxic plants, a decision spurred by the recent surge in poisoning cases. Dr. Christopher was the appointed head of this new institute. Yes, I'll be right there. Sally smoothed out her wrinkled sleeves and collar before heading out. While she wasn't enthusiastic about the headquarters' decision, she had no choice but to comply. The public had grown cautious about the poisonous plants over the past 10 days, making new cases of poisoning rare. Even if the institute succeeded in creating an antidote, it might be too little, too late. Nonetheless, it wasn't her place to question the decision. Her job was to facilitate the setup and then leave the rest to the researchers. Outside Stardust Company, a black Mercedes-Benz pulled up, and a young man in a neat black suit stepped out, offering a bright smile and a handshake to Sally. "Hello, I'm Christopher." Sally, with just the right amount of surprise in her eyes, responded, "Dr. Christopher, I didn't expect you to be so young." Christopher looked about 27 or 28, with neatly trimmed short hair, fair skin, and a warm smile. His gold-rimmed glasses added an air of scholarly elegance. Though slightly underweight, like many researchers, he seemed more like a well-read university professor than a typical scientist. "You're the real achiever here, Vice President Sally," Christopher said with a nod. Being appointed as the general manager at such a young age shows the trust the headquarters places in you. "I should learn from you." After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Christopher suggested, "Let's get straight to work. Time is of the essence. I hear you found a potential location for the institute. Can I take a look?" "Of course," Sally replied. "I've selected a quiet spot in the outskirts that should be ideal for the institute. Let's go and inspect it together." "Great," Christopher agreed. Just then, 2 burly men with fierce expressions and a prominent scar on one's face stepped out of the Mercedes. Sally involuntarily glanced at them. Noticing her gaze, Christopher pushed up his glasses and explained with a smile, "These are my assistants. They may not look friendly, but they have solid expertise." Sally caught sight of the calluses on the men's hands, indicating extensive physical training, and then glanced at Christopher's delicate, almost feminine hands. She wanted to comment but held back, merely offering a smile. Whether they were assistants or bodyguards, it wasn't her concern. Her focus was on her duties. At the farm, Hiroshi was busy working on the farm when he noticed a black Mercedes-Benz speeding by. He frowned. Luxury cars were a rare sight in this rural area. The car reminded him of Jack. Could this be someone investigating Jack's death? If so, he needed to be cautious. Inside the car, Christopher admired the passing scenery. This place is nice and quiet. I like it. Sally remained silent. Hey, what's that over there? Christopher pointed to a well-built property. Those walls are impressive. Sally squinted and replied, I think it's a farm. Stop the car. Let's talk to the farm owner. Christopher said softly. This farm's location is perfect and the space is ample. It's exactly what I'm looking for.